All other sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Now please turn to the 4 sessions Guru Yoga text, page 2. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear light, Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the 4 kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the 4 kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassion and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mothers, sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. So, good morning to everyone, and good evening to some of you. So, again, right, these, want to say again, these preliminaries. What these preliminaries are is that at the heart of these preliminaries is the two bodhicittas. We are cultivating the two bodhicittas. So, with regards to the two aspects of bodhicitta, the relative bodhicitta is the resolve, the mind that seeks to achieve the state of complete and perfect Buddhas out of love and compassion for all beings without exception. So that's relative bodhicitta. Ultimate bodhicitta is the mind that realizes emptiness, in which the essence of that emptiness is compassion. And so when we say we practice the Dharma, this is what we are practicing. We're practicing the two bodhicittas, or bodhicitta with the two aspects of relative and ultimate. And the relative and the ultimate is inseparable. So even as we are, like, say, cultivating relative bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta actually is not bodhicitta if ultimate bodhicitta is not somewhere in that picture. And ultimate bodhicitta is not really ultimate bodhicitta if relative bodhicitta is not somewhere in the picture. Then, having set the kind of context for our practice with the preliminaries, in reminding ourselves that we are cultivating these two bodhicittas, which the cultivation of bodhicitta, according to Kyopa Jiten Sumgun, in his teachings to the assembly, to the great teachings to the assembly. In the very first teaching out of the 30 teachings, he says, when we say a lineage, what we mean this succession of people who pass something down from generation to generation. He says that's what we mean when we say lineage. Lineage is a succession of people who have something that they are passing down from generation to generation. And he says, as for what is being passed down, he says, although there are many ways to talk about what is being passed down, he says, for us, essentially, there is nothing else that is being passed down that is as important as passing down the lineage of bodhicitta, the cultivation and the actualization of bodhicitta. So then, the master, the main practice is geared, the purpose of the main practice is to help us actualize bodhicitta. And so what comes after is for that purpose, as I've mentioned. Then the third part is the dedication part. And what is dedication? Dedication, there are many ways. There are worthy types of dedication, and there are unworthy types of dedication. Dedication of merit can be dedicated to rather small purposes. Maybe the smallest ones are where we dedicate the merit and say, oh, by the power of this merit, may I have a new car next month. By the power of this merit, may I get good results with my blood test that I'm going to do tomorrow. Even that, that's very limited dedication. The supreme dedication, which is what we should practice, is to dedicate our practice to the awakening of all beings. So where are we now? We have come back to the beginning, the bodhicitta, to actualizing bodhicitta. So the supreme dedication is the dedication of bodhicitta. We come one full circle back to where we started. In another teaching, it is said that we need to have these three excellences. That which is excellent in the beginning, that which is excellent in the middle, that which is excellent at the end. That which is excellent in the beginning is the excellent motivation, relative bodhicitta. That which is excellent in the middle is actually, it's called non-grasping. In this teaching of the three excellences, it's called non-fixation or non-grasping. And there it's saying, during the main practice, which is the excellence in the middle, we should not have grasping or fixation. But if you look at this teaching from the perspective of the two bodhicittas, then what is cultivated in the middle is ultimate bodhicitta. Yeah, so this non-grasping or non-fixation, what is it about? It is about the mind that realizes emptiness, in which the essence of that emptiness manifests as compassion. So that is the excellence in the middle. And the excellence at the end is the excellent dedication, whereby we dedicate our practice, our merit, whatever we have gained, towards the freedom and happiness of all beings. That is relative bodhicitta. So together, these three excellences, again, is the practice of the two bodhicittas. Yeah. So there is nothing more important and more superior to practicing, cultivating these two bodhicittas. So this is something that is particularly emphasized by Kyopa Jigten Sumgen. Of course, everybody emphasized bodhicitta, but the particular way of helping us understand what is it that we are practicing. This is something that Kyopa Rinpoche emphasized a lot, and this comes from at least Gampopa, and extending back further from Lord Atisha. Remember that Gampopa's legacy and Gampopa's pedigree, and then from his pedigree comes his legacy. Of course, we are on the legacy side. Gampopa's pedigree, so to say, is not just Milarepa. Gampopa's pedigree is also Atisha, the great Kadampa masters, especially the Kadampa masters that emphasize the cultivation of bodhicitta and emphasize practice. The Kadampa, there were many branches. There was one branch of Kadampa that specialized in philosophical studies. Gampopa did not get influenced so much by those who emphasize the philosophical studies among the Kadampas. But Gampopa trained for many years under the branch of the Kadampas that emphasize Lojong, training the mind. Training the mind, what is that mind being trained in? Trained in bodhicitta. So the branch of the Kadampas that emphasize the practice of Lojong and the practice of ascetic simplicity. So, yes, monastic lifestyle, but even a particular kind of monastic lifestyle. Not the kind of monastic lifestyle where you build huge monasteries, where you have so many monks until you need to have, monastic police. I know maybe you all never thought of this, but yes, like in the great monasteries in Lhasa, Ganden, Sera, Drebung, these Gelugpa monasteries with 8,000 monks, 10,000 monks, 20,000 monks. They have a whole group of monks that are monastic police called the Dobdob. And these are the great seats of learning, or at least great learning can occur there. Doesn't mean that you're part of these monasteries, you are necessarily engaged in the great learning. The truth is that for the elites that are engaged in great learning, there is many other people that needs to keep the place going and running, right? Someone has to clean, someone has to sweep, someone has to cook, including someone has to go collecting taxes and collecting rent, that land that monasteries own, that they lease out to people who are without land. All that work, Anyway, this is not the kind of monastic life that the early Kadampas advocate. The early Kadampas advocate a life of simplicity, living in hermitages, living in forest, perhaps gathered around a teacher, and sometimes even in the absence of a teacher, a group of fellow practitioners gathered together in simplicity and focus completely on changing the mind, actualizing the two bodhicittas. So this aspect of Kadampa style, Kadampa flavor, was definitely very prominent in the early Kagyupa lineages that come from Gampopa. And there were other Kagyupa lineages that came from Milarepa's other students and Marpa's other students. But we, as Kagyupas in the present, basically almost all of us trace ourselves back through Gampopa's particular branch. So sometimes it's called Dakpo Kagyu. Dakpo is the place that Gampopa's main monastery was at. So it's called Dakpo Kagyu. A reference to Gampopa. So this emphasis on understanding that all our practices are the practice of actualizing the two bodhicittas is a unique characteristic that I think is very helpful for us to remember. So in the next section, now that we have at least practiced the whole sadhana, or almost the whole sadhana, I know I've been skipping that middle part. That middle part you should read, that middle part that describes, where is Jigten Sumgun now, what he's doing, and how he continues to help beings. Where is Koncho Ratna, where is Dhammakirti, all that. It's meant to instill faith and confidence. But truthfully, I don't know if that's doing the job for you or not. For me, kind of the slightly cynical type, I read that and go, oh, okay. But my faith and confidence on these three is not based on so much on the miraculous things that they're doing. And maybe for some of you that's very inspiring, but please, so that section describes their miraculous abilities. That's to instill, like to oomph up, to pump up, your confidence. Anyway, so mostly we have practiced this a couple of days. So now I want to then start to unpack different parts of this practice so that we have some, basic knowledge about what is going on here. Now, know that this basic knowledge is important, but don't mistake the accumulation of knowledge as dharma arising in our mind. So many people are addicted to the accumulation of knowledge. And if they don't get that quickly, they move on. Or they get involved, then quickly they just gather knowledge, then off they go. Doesn't matter to me personally. But what I'm afraid is that for such people, when suffering actually comes, they will feel that the Buddha Dharma has no power. And that will be very unfortunate. That will be very unfortunate if they think, oh, Buddha Dharma doesn't work. So be careful that know the rightful purpose and place of knowledge. As Christian says, don't engage in idolatry. Don't worship graven images. Wrong image. Graven images, wrong images. Knowledge can be a graven image, wrong image. Information can turn into a graven image. Then we are not actually taking refuge in the Buddha Dharma Sangha. We are taking refuge in our own pride. Oh, I know this, 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 I know this. I know this and this, can I add this, can I do that, can I do this, can I do that, but never actually doing. And then we read about how, Tibetan Buddhism encourages debate. Then we think we will go debate with other people. Then there's Facebook, and then there's all this social media. Then people debate back and forth and back and forth, declaring their ideas and arguments. And again, personally, it doesn't matter to me, but I am slightly worried that for these individuals that when they really, really need the Dharma and they think they have the Dharma, they will find that maybe they don't have the Dharma. And so later in this practice, there's a prayer. Some of you may have noticed already. There is the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa in the form of prayer. After the look upon me, after that section, before the empowerment. But they're in a slightly modified form, because if you count, there are five statements. It says, may my mind turn to the Dharma, then may the Dharma turn into Dharma. Those 2 lines, in the typical 4 Dharmas of Gampopa, one of these 2 lines are used. All the versions of the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa says, may my Dharma turn to the Dharma. Later, it is changed to, may my mind turn to the Dharma. In this practice, both are included. So it starts with, may my mind turn to the Dharma, may the Dharma turn into Dharma, and may the Dharma then enter the path, and may the path clear confusion, may confusion dawn as wisdom. So again, so now we have 5. Essentially, what this the composer of the sadhana decided to do is to use both variations. So when we have both variations for the first Dharma, for the first line, then it becomes, may my mind turn to the Dharma, may the Dharma follow the Dharma, or may my mind turn to the Dharma, may the Dharma turn into Dharma, may Dharma enter the path, may path clear confusion, may confusion dawn as wisdom. So the first point, may my mind turn to the Dharma, and then may the Dharma continue, so to say, in the Dharma. And there actually is saying, like, don't fool yourself and think, oh, I have interest in Dharma, so may my mind turn to the Dharma. But we also have to ensure that the Dharma don't turn into something else. So that's why Gampopa says, may the Dharma be the Dharma. Because the Dharma can turn into an academic topic. The Dharma can turn into a topic of debate. The Dharma can turn into a form of self-identity. Oh, I'm a Dharma practitioner. Oh, I'm a Buddhist. Then the Dharma is not remaining as Dharma. The Dharma has turned into something else. Only when the Dharma remains as Dharma can the Dharma now enter the path. Meaning, enter the path means become the process. Become part of our process. Our process to what? Our process to wake up. Wake up for what reason? Wake up for the sake of others. So this is very important, that the Dharma remains Dharma and not becomes something else, not become just, a hobby, and not become an area of expertise that you can know a lot of things about. You have a lot of information. Not a social club. Turn the Dharma Center into a social club. I do encourage people to socialize at Dharma centers. I think our Dharma centers generally everywhere need to have a warmer kind of atmosphere need to be a place where people are comfortable and feel good about gathering, just for fun even. Yes, I think those are important. But of course, never lose sight why we have the Dharma Center in the first place. Some Dharma centers may be too focused on just teaching and practice. Then people don't feel connected to each other. Also, not so ideal. Yeah? Not so ideal. We're not living in the forest as full-time practitioners, so we have to attend to more ordinary needs that we have. Okay, now page 4, which is the self-generation part, and generating ourselves or arising as Vajrayogini. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red bum turns into Vajrayogini, red complexion, radiating with empty bliss, wrathful in demeanor, with 3 eyes gazing towards the sky, right hand with a Gayatri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala. Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound and protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old with breast swelling with bliss and adorned with the 5 born ornaments and wearing garlands of flowers and heads. Joyfully her right hand holds aloft a Vajrakatri pointing towards the sky, and her left holds a blood-filled Kapala directly in front of her navel center, and held under her arm is glorious Heruka in the form of a Katanga, dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent, arisen within swelling red lights of empty bliss. So this is the self-generation, the technical term, self-creation, ourselves arising as deity. And in this case, the deity is Vajravarahi. Vajravarahi was like the kind of the hard idam of Jigten Sungden and of Gampopa. And it's part of comes from the Chakasamvara Tantra. So essentially, it's a Chakasamvara practice, but Vajravarahi focuses on the feminine aspect, the wisdom, emptiness aspect of the deity. Whereas the male deity is the skillful means aspect. Of course, each of them, male or female, include the other side. So we should not think, oh, Vajravarahi is the emptiness wisdom side, and so the method side is not there. The method, the skillful method side is there. And as this sadhana tells us, is there in the form of the staff, the katanga, that she holds in with her left hand, resting like on the crook of her left hand. So that katanga is the secret form, we say, of the male aspect, also called Chakasamvara or Heruka. Yeah. So, so today what I want to say a little bit is about this practice of arising as deity, or the practice of deity yoga. Then slowly too, under here, some of the meanings of what of the form, of the appearance of Vajravarahi and the meaning of Vajravarahi. I think a little bit of knowledge about this is very helpful. We have a Vajravarahi sadhana, long by our standards, with many different parts, not so easy to practice. That is called the Sangchen Gyatso. Sangchen is the great secret. Gyatso is ocean. So the ocean of great secret is a sadhana of Vajravarahi. And in that sadhana, which was composed by one of the more recent great master of Drikung Kagyu, Khenpo Chokyap, I think. In this sadhana, worked into the sadhana is a good amount of notes that Khenpo Chokyap provides for each section. And these are not so much notes for how to perform the practice, but rather notes that explain the meaning of what is going on. So very helpful notes. So let me read from there, and then try to expand a little bit. So he says, from beginningless time, the nature of your form, of your body, of your appearance has been none other than Vajravarahi. So he says, the nature of your appearance, the nature of your form, actually from beginningless time. So what that means is, it's not so much saying beginningless time. We might think, in biblical terms, in the beginning, God created this, like in the beginning, we think of beginningless or primordial. Even when sometimes in Buddhist texts we read primordial, and then immediately we're thinking, billions and bazillions lifetimes back. Yes, it does mean that, but more importantly, it is talking about right now. Right now, at the beginning of each moment, that is the beginningless. So in that moment, the nature of our form, of our appearance, is none other than Vajravarahi. Now here, form is emphasized. And you say, well, you say form is emphasized, so what are you getting at? You could ask me that. In contrast to what? In contrast to mind. That mind is Buddha. That mind is awakened from the beginning or beginningless time. Mind is Buddha, is something that is already explicitly taught in the general Mahayana tradition. Only in the specific context of Vajrayana, which is a specialized type of Mahayana, is it also taught that not only is mind primordially from beginningless time Buddha, appearance, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, these are the appearances. This is all pertains to form. But even form, even appearance, has been primordially Buddha. And in this case, Buddha Vajravarahi. And then now you might say, wait, what does that mean? You're like, mind is Buddha. Okay, I get. Well, what do you mean sight, sound, smell, taste, touch is also primordially, from beginningless time, Buddha, Vajavarahi. It's an extraordinary way of experiencing sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. So this is said to be a unique characteristic of the Vajrayana level. The full meaning of this, obviously, not something I can communicate because I don't think I've experienced it yet. And then even if I've experienced it fully, words cannot convey. So in the more mundane and intellectual sense, I think what we can say is this understanding of appearances, of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, as primordially Buddha, is a different attitude, is a different way of relating to embodiment, to the fact of us having a body. In one context, the Buddha taught, what is this body? The body is a skin bag with 9 holes, right? You've heard of that. There we are taught to contemplate, to really get it, that this is a sack of oozing, disgusting things. Of course, many of us are like, why is it so negative? Okay, negative or positive is like, assessments that you put on it. Is it true that, from these 9 holes, generally undesirable things are coming out? True. We would rather not talk much about it. We're like, oh no, not a topic for polite conversation. Nobody wants to hear this at Christmas morning. Nobody wants to hear this at the Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. But, that's the interdependent nature of everything. Yeah. So, for example, when we say interdependence, even within the Buddhist context, we say interdependence. We only want to think about, like nice and, inspiring things. Oh, interdependence. But interdependence includes the interdependence of eating and defecating. The smelly things that come out is part of the interdependence of the tasty things that go in. That's interdependence, So Buddha taught extensively about this. But Buddha also taught, this body is like a temple whereby Buddha nature is the resident. Then finally, Buddha taught this body, this mind is all completely Buddha. That's the Vajrayana. So here, from beginningless time, this body has been the nature of Vajavarahi. Now perceive, experience that the form, color, heads, hands, implements, and even the most subtle aspect, down to the hairs of the body of Varahi, are absolutely vivid and clear and brilliant, like the moon in water, or a reflection in a mirror. So here, Khenpo Chogyap says, what you should aim for whenever you cultivate this. So when you cultivate deity yoga, first of all, you need to understand that this is not like a new invention. Right? You should not do this practice with the attitude that actually I'm not Buddha, actually I'm not Vajavarahi, and I'm just trying to become Vajavarahi. You should begin with the understanding that there was never a time where I am not Vajavarahi. So then what it means now is, now all I'm doing is not becoming Vajavarahi, even if sometimes the text might say that, but it's actually recovering, to recover, to remember my true nature. And with that attitude, with that approach, then he says, now try to make your image of yourself as Vajavarahi vivid and clear. Vivid and clear. So you develop clarity of yourself as Varahi. Or if you're practicing Tara, if you're practicing Manjushri, if you're practicing even Buddha Shakyamuni, it doesn't matter. You want to allow the vividity, the clarity to grow. It's easier for this vividity or clarity to develop if you are willing to believe that this has always been your nature. That there has never been a time where it is not. It's hard to explain, how this works. This can only be experienced. So this is the part where you say, I'm going to trust these instructions. Not blind faith, but I'm going to trust it so that I can maybe taste what is being described here. So that is when trusting me as in now I'm talking about me, might be helpful. In other circumstances, don't trust me so much. But trust me as in I'm repeating these words of the lineage masters, and I'm repeating them because I have some experience of that. So then, yes, trust trust a little bit. Trust a little bit so that you can go try it. Then you can go confirm it yourself. So begin with this understanding that from primordially, even not just my mind, but even my form, even my appearance has always been Varahi. And given that that is the case, now I will perceive, I will experience this form, color, heads, hands, implements, even down to as detailed as the bodily hairs, that they are all vivid and clear. So vivid and clear is one aspect. The other aspect of this is illusory, without substantiality. So it says, like a moon, like the reflection of moon in the water, or a reflection in the mirror. Reflection in a mirror. Reflections in the mirror, water may be a little harder. Most of us have not really noticed that. I think people in ancient times, where they're outside a lot, and where they have less distractions, they notice, reflections on water much more than us. Us, maybe we use the mirror one, image in the mirror. Images that you see in the mirror have a certain quality to them where they are very clear, right? And very light, gentle, illusory. In fact, this quality of mirror has even resulted in some skillful methods of visualizing the deity that we see in Kyoba Rinpoche's collected teachings. And I'm sure in the works of other great masters too. But what I do know is like in some teachings of Kyoba Rinpoche found in his 12 volumes, there's one text that we translated where, very interesting, it says, it describes how, he says, you want to practice this, find a house, a room, that is not easily destroyed by wind. So it really describes, you're like, what are we talking about? It really describes the early community that formed around Jigten Sungren. People really just build like shacks, So it says, so if you want to do this practice, it says, find a house. When we say house, maybe we should really mean just like a shack, Find a shack that is not easily destroyed by wind. And there are big winds, in the plains of Tibet. So point there being, find a physical location where you don't have to worry about the integrity of the building. So your mind is a little more settled. Then he says, you want this space to have an opening that faces, I think an opening that faces the east. Why? So that light can come in. Again, sometimes we forget, even our translators, we forget what kind of houses we're talking about. We take for granted now we live in houses where you can have windows wherever you want. But in the context of 12th century Tibet, there are no windows. There's just a hole in the wall. There's no insulation. You cannot seal your window so that cold air don't come in and only sunlight. You want sunlight? Then you put a hole in that wall. Sunlight can come in, but cold air also comes in, So generally inside buildings are dark. So, but then he says, make an opening, on the eastern side. Then, interestingly, he says, then you hang a tanka of the deity that you're practicing. And in this text, he actually says Hevajra, but doesn't matter, and any deity you're practicing. He says you hang a tanka, a picture of this deity, on the wall opposite of that opening. Okay? Then he says, sit with your back towards that painting. I'm like, what? Why? So he doesn't say, look directly at the painting. He say, sit with your back towards the painting, and then do what? And then put a mirror in front of you, so that you gaze upon the image of that painting. There, I think it's really emphasizing the almost like the fleeting quality of this image. If you look directly at the tanka, if you look directly at the statue, we are so habituated to the solidity of that object that our visualization might also become solid in that way. So put a mirror, he says, and look in the mirror. Then you can better taste the very light and alive quality of that image, and identify that with your own appearance. So this notes continue. This appearance is without any existent nature, without any solidity, like a rainbow in the sky. Visualize this nature clear and luminous, untainted by the impurity of grasping to things as being real. So Lord Pamadrupa said, meditate on the deity's body to be like the rainbow. Completely abandon attachment to ordinariness. So think, this is extraordinary. This is not this mundane body that we're talking about. That we are a body of light. Clear, insubstantial, and fleeting. Yes, fleeting. Furthermore, Jigten Sumgön said, the practices of the generation stage is perfectly accomplished primordially. Meaning, the generation stage that we practice is based on the principle that whatever we're cultivating is already like that from time without beginning. It's not something new that we are creating. Make sense? Some sense? Questions? Comments? Yes?
Can we think about, or that's the only way I can term it is think, but think about this, the primordial aspect of the moment as trying to capture the sense of awe or wonder that this particular thing is what we're perceiving as opposed to something else, because the emptiness can allow anything.
That's only one part, and that's a minor part. The awe and that's a minor part. The more important part is the insubstantial.
Okay, thank you.
The vividity and the insubstantiality is the more important aspect. The wonder and the awe that I am Varahi. Yeah? Yes, it's part of it, but it's not so. It's not as central.
So it's the emptiness aspect means that it's fleeting.
Yes, insubstantial.
Substantial, not really.
Cannot be grasped.
Airborne, but not there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
See, right now, it's the nature of this too, This too is empty, fleeting, insubstantial. But, both you and I say, Not really, you know. You know how many pills I pop to keep things from falling apart, from yelling and screaming at me? But actually it's saying, no, even that, this is exactly like the Varahi image that I'm meditating on now. They are both, they both have the nature of that that is indicated by analogies like moon reflected in the water, images reflected in mirror.
So it's an overlay, more or less, kind of.
It's not an overlay. It's
Well,
an
sort of
equivalent.
equivalent. Okay. And the ripple of the water, I think, is easier to perceive in visualizing because
Uh,
it's insubstantial. It changes. It.
yes, yes. Now you have to figure out how to hang a tanka on top of a puddle of water that you can stare into.
Take it out on my porch where water stands. Thank, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know what you're asking. I don't have very good words to, but so it's really important not to just think, oh, the Varahi meditation that I'm doing, that image is insubstantial, almost like flickering, very light, light as in, you know, not heavy, and also very clear, and has that illusory nature. Whereas this is not. This is. But see, right now, it's hard to see how this is also of that nature. So we have the skillful method of identifying with the deity image. To slowly replace our habit of identifying ourselves with this. So that's part of the process. It doesn't say everything yet about what the process is, but one piece of this process is, rather than habitually identifying this as I, we are beginning to identify with the image, the appearance, the qualities, the characteristics of, in this case, Vajavarahi, as who I am. And just as Varahi has the appearance which is insubstantial and illusory, this too. So ultimately, what we're trying to, what we're working on getting rid of is grasping at this. Fixating on this as I, me, mine. Ivan?
Thank you. I have a question relating to just that exactly. Can I practice that during the day, like thinking I am the deity, or trying to, like, on the bus or whatever?
Yes.
Are there any other ways we can work on that?
There are many other ways. How many ways do you want?
I don't know, maybe an idea or something cool.
No, I mean, like, if you are able to do some of that, you know, like you say, on the bus, in the cafe, at the library, in the studio. If you can have these moments where you remember, I'm the deity, I'm a Buddha, I'm Vajavarahi. Then, extending from that, the food that I eat is an offering to Vajavarahi. Experiencing that as an offering to Vajavarahi. The coffee that I drink, is the elixir that is offered to Vajavarahi. Then your surroundings becoming the mandala of Vajavarahi. Now, this is all only going to work if we are also not forgetting to work on a different level, which is don't bite the hook of the afflictive emotions. Don't see, a worm wriggle and immediately habitually try to eat it, and forget that underneath that worm is a hook. So it's not like you walk around trying to think, I'm Vajavarahi, right? And then the afflictive emotions are still going on and you're not paying any attention to like stopping it or, not feeding it, right? So that aspect of mind training is not being replaced by any means. So Gilbert Rinpoche says, 84,000 dharmas is not saying choose 7 out of the 84. He says 84,000 dharmas is saying you have to use all 84,000. Now, not so literally, right? You're like, oh, how do I use, the point is like, it's a multifaceted process. So simultaneously, when you see yourself as this divine mandala of Vajavarahi, you also have to see that this is a skin bag with 9 holes. It's multifaceted. And you also have to see this is the temple where the Buddha exists and can benefit beings. All levels, all perspectives are brought together as a single, as a complete, holistic way of training. So sometimes it's remembering the emptiness aspect. Sometimes it's remembering the clarity aspect. Sometimes it's remembering the divine appearance aspect. Sometimes it's remembering the undesirable nature of things aspect. But they're not different things. They are the same. Same nature seen from different perspectives and contexts. Hence, Kyoba Rinpoche's approach is called the single intention. Intention can also be translated as realization, the single realization. And single means whole, complete. The inclusive single rather than the exclusive single. The all-encompassing single in that way, right? You can arrive at single or you can arrive at 2 different types of single. This is the all-encompassing singularity as opposed to the exclusive singularity. So for today, we now skip to the dedication right at the end. On page 50, if you're using the PDF text. Then whatever merit, whatever positive virtues, understandings that we have gained from today's practice, we dedicate all of this, and also the virtues and the merit of all Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all beings everywhere. We imagine and think we gather and bring them all together and dedicate them in the following way. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Changchu Sem Chorin Puji Ma Ge Ba Nam Ge Gyu Ji Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Yang Gong Ne Gong Du Beo Er Shu. Okay, ta-ta, everybody.
Thank you, Lopon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Bye.
Hasta mañana.
Thank you, Darje Lopon. Thank you.
Yeah. Ta-ta.